Karen Stewart from Dinsdale. You have been a Toastmaster for 25 years. What an achievement. I would like to know from you, why did you join Toastmasters in the beginning?
Well, actually, I procrastinated to begin with. My sister Sonia was a Toastmaster of the Rotorua Club, and she kept asking me to go along and attend, saying that it would be great for me. And I just kept putting it off because at the time, both of us had toddlers, but my toddler was in and out of hospital quite often, and I just kept putting it off. Then 15 months after she joined, on August the 22nd, 1995, she was presenting her number 10 speech from the basic manual. So along with our parents, her older stepdaughter and myself, we went along to support her. Unfortunately, her number 10 failed miserably. It didn't go off as planned, but I never left. That was my first night of thousands of meetings I've had since, and I just kept going back every week thereafter. So it took 15 months of procrastination before I went along to watch her in action. And although she failed miserably with her speech itself, the atmosphere and everything else was great. There was another newcomer that night, and he also joined. I actually joined up several weeks later. My husband at the time was the only income earner, so I had to plead and beg and almost borrow. So I had to wait for him for several weeks before he came through with the finances. And yeah, I joined up just when I went along on the 22nd of August. My daughter had just had her third birthday, just 12 days earlier, 10 days earlier. And so I went along, and rest is history. I just kept going back and joined up a few weeks. So by about the end of September, I was an official member. So 25 years on, and I'm still going. Just not to the Rotorua Club. I was in that until May 1998 when we moved back to Hamilton.
And you are a member of which club now?
I'm a member of Dinsdale. I joined up Dinsdale, I transferred to Dinsdale a week after we moved over to Hamilton. My husband and I have both grown up in Hamilton. He was born here and I grew up here as a teenager, but we came over for his work. And so I joined up, transferred to Dinsdale about a week later. And so that was the 2nd of June, 1998, and I've been a member ever since.
Just the two clubs, or have you been?
No, I did join the Hamilton Club as a club coach, and that was around 99, 2000, somewhere like that. It was just, and I was with that for about 3 years.
Yes.
So helping to build, along with another club member of mine at the time, and we, at that stage, Warwick Lowndes, who had been a member of my Rotorua Club, he was the district governor, and he had come through and helped us get set up and work with the Hamilton Club because they were down to 5 members. And by the end of the 3 years when I left, we got it up to about 17 or 18.
Yes, wonderful. So why have you stayed a Toastmaster for 25 years? What made you stick to it?
In the beginning and for many, many years, and I still do enjoy it, but I probably enjoyed it quite a lot more. I've always determined it as my third love more than anything else. Other than my daughter and then my cats, Toastmasters is my third love, and it still is. And it's still quite way up there at the very top. But as the years have gone by, as much as I still enjoy it, it hasn't quite got the same impact as much as what it did in the beginning and for many years. But I keep going because of the camaraderie of the other members, watching new members come in and see them grow. Been there for 22 years and the longest serving, I've seen quite a few hundred people come in and go. I'm a club historian, so I know how many people were before me and how many people there have been since. So I've seen quite a number of people come in and go, and many others still stay. So, and I just enjoy something to do. It's one of my two social outlets, and that I have per week, and I just keep going. You know, I was a solo parent for a number of years. I was dealing with my sick child for a number of years, and it was just my social outlet. And even though my daughter has grown up and gone and doing her own thing now, it's still my social outlet, and it's one of the two I have during the week to do. So I just keep going because I love doing it.
Yeah, we all really become kind of addicted because of the emotional support that you get and growth that you experience.
Yeah, I think I'm more addicted to Toastmasters than I was to my marriage because I've been in Toastmasters longer than I was married.
You are a Distinguished Toastmaster. When did you become a Distinguished Toastmaster?
I became a Distinguished Toastmaster in February 2006. It had taken me 12 years to get there, but, well, 11 and a half years to get there. But I got there in the end because I was dealing with a sick child a lot. So that took a lot of my time with her in and out of hospital so often. So some people may be able to do it in a couple of years or so, but it took me 11 and a half. But I got there in the end, and I achieved it in, as I say, February 2006. And it is one of my proudest moments in Toastmasters. You know, I went through a lot of adversity over those years with my sick child, but I finally sort of got there in the end, and I got it. And even though I have done several golds, and I've done several bronzes and silvers, and I've done 10 CTMs, and now, of course, I'm on to level 4 of pathways, I have done, you know, I was working it out before, over 220 speeches in the last 25 years. But, you know, this is a proud moment having received this, because it took a lot of work and a lot of effort and a lot of adversity to be able to get to this. And I thought, well, I got one, I don't really need to go for another. And though I managed to finish fair gold, aside from the workshop, I didn't get the workshop done in time, like the speech craft or whatever the other workshop was. I got all the speeches done for my fair gold, but not the workshop. So unfortunately, I didn't actually achieve fair gold, and I had started on 4th gold because I'd already done 4th bronze and 4th silver. So I was on the verge of starting 4th gold and even done a couple of speeches for it. But I wasn't, because of the new system now, I missed out gaining fair gold properly just by not doing the workshop. But I thought, well, you know, I've gained my DTM, I don't need to go for another. And I know some people carry on and keep doing more, but I got the one I wanted, and that's all I needed.
Yeah, that's the highest you can go as Distinguished Toastmaster. But you repeat it again and again.
Mm.
So looking back over the years, who was your first mentor?
Mentor? I actually didn't have one. Surprisingly, I never had one. Even when I joined the Rotorua Club, I actually didn't have a mentor. Not because there was no inductions. I mean, we induct in my club because I'm the membership officer, and we give mentors. But when I joined the Rotorua Club, there was no induction, no mentors at all. Well, not that I received one. The only person that was there as a backup for me was my sister, because she'd already had 15, 16 months. Well, by the time I joined, she would have had 16 months. So she was there as a guide, but not as a fully fledged mentor. So I never actually had one. And in 25 years, I've never had a mentor. I have been a mentor myself for a few people, but I never had one. So I was never allocated one. And Sonia was there as a backup.
Yes. So what do you consider your greatest achievement within Toastmasters or outside Toastmasters?
Aside from my DTM, I would say my greatest achievement would be standing up to the medical staff at Starship Hospital. When my daughter was first sick as a baby, I didn't have Toastmasters experience behind me. I went, for the first 3 years of her life, I didn't have Toastmasters. So I struggled to deal with the hospital staff. I mean, it took 10 years before they figured out what was wrong with her, but in those initial months, in those initial years, I struggled to communicate with the doctors and the specialists and the medical staff at the hospitals to try and get my baby sorted and find out what's wrong with her and to deal with the repercussions that occurred afterwards. And there were major, major repercussions with her health. And it was very hard because I didn't have that anything behind me. But fast forward 8 years in Toastmasters, when to put it bluntly, how can I say this in a nice way? When things developed to a point where things got really bad with her, and we ended up back at Starship for 3 months, and things went downhill from there with her. I had 8 years experience behind me with Toastmasters, and I used every ounce of that, and I really got into the medical staff because they were on the verge of letting her out in a body bag. If they had their way, she would have left in a body bag. That's how bad things were with her. But I pressured and I pushed and I yelled and I screamed and I swore and everything else I did. And I nagged to the point where finally, after 11 long weeks, my daughter was able to walk out of hospital alive and not leave in a body bag, as that's where they thought she was going to be. And I pushed and I used every ounce of my Toastmasters of that 8 years I've had to push home that, you know, I was not going to let my daughter die. No matter how many times per week they said, go and say goodbye, go say goodbye. I was not going to go and say goodbye because I was not going to let her go. She was my one and only child and I was not going to let her go. So I pushed, and to the point, you know, she's just turned 28-year-old and she's now still alive. Whereas when she was 10, 11-year-old, I almost lost her. And so my greatest achievement is Toastmasters allowed me to allow my daughter to stay alive. And although the other day when her and I talked about it, when I saw her, she doesn't quite agree that Toastmasters helped keep her alive, I firmly believe, because she always knows that, you know, I was pushed and pushed and pushed. And she does recognise that I helped keep her alive. But for me, I recognise that it was Toastmasters and that experience behind me that just allowed me to find a voice. And that's, to me, what it was. It allowed me to find a voice, and it allowed me to push and prod and plead and beg and swear and everything else to get my daughter leaving that hospital alive and not leaving in a body bag as they had really expected her to be. And to me, that's one of my greatest achievements, I think. Probably even more so than the DTM.
Wow. You give me goosebumps. Beautiful, the way that you put it. So apart from the great achievements, what goals have you reached?
I reached 2 complete golds, almost 1/3 gold. I complete the 4 bronze, 4 silvers, because the DTM, and I did 10 CTN, so I've achieved a lot of those. But it's just my goal of going every week, being able to attend every single week, really ever miss a meeting, apart from when I was in hospital 2 weeks ago and one earlier in the year, but I probably only miss 1 or 2 meetings a year. My goals are just being able to attend a meeting And if I can attend a meeting, then I've achieved that goal. I avoid not attending unless I absolutely have to. And even then, it's got to be because I'm in hospital or sick, my daughter's in hospital or sick, or I'm overseas, or I'm away for a trip, which I was early in the year. So there's always got to be a particular reason for me not to attend a meeting. I don't just not turn up. And so my goals is, going to a meeting every week, seeing everybody improve, being there, watching what happens, learning, gaining more skills, gaining insight into other people's lives. Just those are my goals. And I've achieved a lot of them. I don't know that there is much more that I can really achieve, because I achieved the biggest goal by going every week. And to me, I think that's an important one.
Yeah, I do think it's important. Toastmasters is all about the member and the club. It's not about anything bigger than that. It's about the member and how the club can help the member to achieve the goals they have for their lives. It's really important. So you're really doing what you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a story about someone that you greatly respect in Toastmasters.
A person who walks through that door and begins their journey. Because to me, that's the biggest respect I have for someone. They're starting their journey off. They're walking through that door. So that's the hardest thing that anyone can do. The second hardest is getting up and taking a table topic or introducing themselves. And then the third hardest is getting up there to do their icebreaker once they join up. And to me, I have great respect to anyone walking in that door, signing on the dotted line and becoming a member. And I mean, I could have a whole pile of different people that I could respect within the Toastmasters industry, but then we would need all day for me to tell you who they all are. But there is, because other people have gone through adversities. There's a person an ex-member of our club who died a week ago who has suffered adversity. And, that was a sad time last week when we learnt of his death. He'd gone through, I respected him because he was still a member of a club in Rotorua, Auckland, once he left us. But I respect the people who walk through that door and who take that first step, because they are on their path to Toastmasters and gaining the competence and gaining the skills that they need. Some people will be around for just a few weeks and others will last several years. And I just have respect for everyone, no matter whether they stay a couple of weeks and then thought, well, it's not for them, or they have other things on and decide, no, I've got to leave. But more particularly those that keep coming and keep going and keep doing and keep presenting speeches and just grow and grow and grow. And I have seen, and one thing that I always say and I say this a lot, I have seen mice walk in the door and I've seen them leave as an elephant. And to me, that is what I feel I have respect for. People that come in as a mouse. You're so quiet you can't even hear them, even if you're sitting in the front row. But then when they eventually leave, you can hear them from the car park and you think, oh my goodness, here comes so-and-so. Oh goodness, how far have they come? Before you couldn't even hear them even if you sat in the front row. Now you can hear them coming from the car park and the door is even closed. So that to me is how I view people, that the respect I show, the ones that come in as a mouse and they leave as an elephant. And I've seen that time and time and time again, particularly in the last 22 years. I've been the longest serving member in Dinsdale. I've seen hundreds of people walk in as a mouse and leave as an elephant. We had a stutterer who after 4 years, he left no longer stuttering. We've got a young autistic guy at the moment who is on the verge of moving to another club. the 18 months he's been with us, the improvement he's made is astronomical. And although we're upset with him at the moment for leaving and moving elsewhere, but the improvement he's made is just right up the top. He's made a vast, vast improvement. And they are the people I have respect for, the ones who walk in and they start gaining those skills. And to me, that is just a +1. And I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And we are just guides on someone's road. So we don't need to be there for them all the time, but it's wonderful to be part of that journey.
Mm.
So what would you tell your younger self, the person who only started as a Toastmaster or the person who didn't join yet?
I would have told myself, stop the procrastination. You know, I have 15 months to go along and join. And I kept putting it off. Yet my sister had a toddler too, who was only a few months older than mine. But she was going along, but I said, no, it doesn't sound like it's for me. No. And it was only until she did her number 10, 15 months later, when I finally went along. So I would tell myself, don't be an idiot. You have 15 months. You were asked many, 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 many times to go along, and you just kept refusing and making all these excuses. So if I was to look back now on 25 years on my younger self, I would say, don't be an idiot. You know, I was 38-year-old at the time. I'm 63 now. I was 38. And I look back and I think, you know, what an idiot. I had 15 months where I should have done something and gone. So talking to my 38-year-old self now, or 37-year-old self when she first joined, I would say, don't be an idiot. You've been invited, go. You know, don't let having a toddler stand in your way because your sister had one too. Don't let anything stand in your way. Go along and do it. And that's probably what I would tell my 37-year-old self now.
Yeah, I would give myself the same advice. I should have joined earlier.
Yeah.
I learned so much in the time that I've joined. But you don't know until you know.
No, that's right.
Yeah. So I'm a relatively new Toastmaster. What advice can you give someone like me who recently joined?
I would say reach for your goals. Don't let adversity stand in your way, because yes, a lot of us have adversity. I mean, I did with my daughter, with her health, but I still managed to achieve my goals. I still managed to do what I needed to do. I still got my DTM, and I still did other things within the Toastmasters life. Just if Toastmasters is for you and this is what you want and you want to gain skills, keep going, keep doing. Don't let adversity or problems or other people stand in your way. And I did have a few people that stood in my way, but I ignored them all and I just said, no, this is what I'm going to do. This is for me. I'm doing it. And I just went ahead and still did it. And to me, that's what I advise any person. Don't let anything stop you. If you've got a goal, go for it. Work towards it. And don't let other people stand in your way. Don't let adversity stand in your way. I did it through adversity. Yes, it took me 11 years, but I still got there in the end. It's achievable. And it is, you can do it. And I think that anyone joining now, it's out there for people to do. The system may have changed now with the pathways, and it is completely a different sort of kettle of fish to how it was when I first joined, with the manuals and the different ways that we had to do it. But it is achievable. No matter which way you go, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve. And that's my advice to anyone. Walk through that door, become a member, and see yourself grow. It's like an old Rachel Hunter ad that used to be on TV a few decades ago, where she used to talk about her hair, about And it was a case of, it won't happen overnight, but it will happen. And that's how I see Toastmasters. You're not going to see your confidence and skills grow overnight, but they will grow in time. And they will happen within maybe a few months, maybe even a couple of years, but they will occur as time goes on. And people think that you're going to see a change overnight, like the Rachel Hunter ad, but you're not. It will take time, and it is achievable if you put your mind to it and go for it. It can be done. And that's my honest opinion on this. It is achievable. It's not going to happen overnight, but it will definitely happen. That's why I'll see mice walk in and leave as an elephant, because it is achievable.
Yes, yes. I definitely walked in as a mouse. I'm not an elephant yet, but I'm on my way there. So Karen, being a Toastmaster for 25 years mean that you will soon get a 25-year-long service block. Are you looking forward to the ceremony? And what will happen if we only can do that online?
I am very, very looking forward to the ceremony. I'm very looking forward to getting my plaque. If it is online, I'm not sure how that's going to work, because if we're there in person, at least I can walk up onto the podium or walk close to the podium and get it and be handed it and they go, yay, I got it. In front of, hundreds of people, but how it's going to work online, I don't know, or how it's going to work anyway else, I don't know. But it is the one thing I'm looking most forward to. It's hopefully only a few weeks away.
I think that's something that COVID steals from us, is the celebration of things in person, but does not take away what we have achieved. And it's still an enormous accomplishment to stay in an organization, to become a distinguished Toastmaster, to use those skills that you've gained to help your daughter stay alive and to help so many other members on their way. It's an enormous accomplishment, and we're really proud of you, Karen, and we look forward to hopefully very soon in the future handing over that award to you.
Thank you. I look forward to getting it. Next to my DTM, that's be one of my proudest moments, knowing that I've received something that I have worked hard for and have stayed in an organisation for 25 years to get. So how much longer I stay for it, I don't know, but maybe another 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but just the first 25 years, to me, that's a well worth achievement, and I'm just looking forward to receiving that acknowledgement.
Yes, and you do deserve that thoroughly, but don't leave, because we need the experience that you have, and we need you to be a mentor for other people so that they can also go on and accomplish their goals.
I'll try and stick around for another 25 years if I can. I'll be 88.
Wow. Well,
so if I stick around for another 25 years, I'll be 88.
We have members who are 101.
Yeah.